Chicanos, how's it going, everybody? I just wanted to make this video on just giving my thoughts and sharing information, how I studied and seek knowledge and come across what I talk about. One thing, for as in Chicanos and Mexican, our history, our indigenous native period, of let's start, like, if you just want to get an understanding on, you know being Native American and American Indian history, just go to your local library. If you can't, no one could always buy the books at hand that are recommended by, like, the Mexica movement, for example. They recommend 9 books. I've shared them before on on my Facebook and Instagram, the books that they recommend, like 1492, American Holocaust, the American Indian contributions to the North American continent, and, like, the makings of Mexico or something like that. Those are like 5 names I could remember. So, and you don't got the money to order them on hand, or your libraries don't have those books at hand. If you go to your library, just when you go to your library, and if they don't have those, just get what they have at hand. Just start reading about, grab the closest book that they got about, the Aztecs or the Mayans or the Cherokee or tribes of California, the tribes of Canada. That's what some of them will be called too, the titles too, like the tribes of the West Coast, or, the American Indians of South America. So, just start reading books, and some of your books you gotta find, some of them are just detailed. I read half of them because it just talks about what are weapons and stuff. Like, I wasn't trying to get too deep. Like, I didn't always care. Wasn't I realized I didn't want to care too much, like how big are the pyramids by feet, like, knowing every arrow or every symbol. At first I wanted to know that, then I was like, nah, that's not what I'm trying to seek to know. Like, I'm not trying to be no specialist. Like, I'm like, I have a philosophy state of mind more than just like a specialist of, a Pacific, historian on one thing. So, that's what did. I just started grabbing the books that they had there, and I was reading them. Some of them captured my attention, talking about tribes of California and tribes of, Canada, or the what is North American Indian tribes of. They talk about, going up and down, from Canada to South America, what is and why is, how stuff got changed and shaped. You could find books like that right at your local library, along with, slowly seeking out the Pacific books that, for an example, that the Mexica movement recommended, which are good books. I got a couple of them, and those ones get real deep and detailed on, a true understanding of how stuff was. So, I mean, that's one way to start getting information. And of course, you got your phone, you got a computer, look up information, type in on your phone, Mexican, Mexican tribes, tribes of Mexico, tribes of North America, look up the tribes of Canada, type that stuff in on your phone. Look up Mexico, just read about Mexico on the Wikipedia, and it gives you a basic understanding of how it's shaped. And then from there, go to the next article and the next page, and then you get different pages, different understandings. That's one way I was doing. That's one thing that I was doing. And when I was reading information off computer, off different articles and websites of just different stuff just coming across, just flipping through, scrolling through information on your phone, basically, because I'm at lunch. I got my phone at me on my hand while I'm at break at work, you know, got an hour lunchtime. What do? Just seeking information. So, and then along what reading stuff on the computer, you go get a random book, you kind of put stuff, oh yeah, I was reading something about this on the phone, and then you get an understanding of reading a book, and then you go after that, you watch stuff that you could find on documentaries and of Native American tribes, or for an example, you go to Olin, he has his YouTube channel. He has like 100 videos, and you gotta scroll through. Some of them are in English, some of them are in Spanish, some of them are like poetry videos, and you gotta listen, and he gives his point of view and understanding. And then there's another channel called Anawa Warrior, which is another channel that they got with information, and then they got the Mexica Movement channel that's specifically called Mexica Movement with videos and information and lectures on there that you gotta scroll through too, because there's poetry, readings and stuff. But worth going through, and if you don't scroll through those and go search through those channels, and I don't know what to tell you, you can't just ask questions. You gotta go seek the knowledge and understanding yourself. So other than that, then you really don't want to know if you're not willing to go deep down that rabbit hole, so like not everybody's hungry to go deep down that rabbit hole, not everybody has that patience and wants to seek that information. Like for an example, I always like to listen to documentaries and lectures and debates from the 60s and 70s, like James Baldwin, Malcolm X, Martin King, Louis Farrakhan. Like if you look up Phil Donahue, a 1980s talk show where he had people like Khalid Muhammad on his show, The Israelites. I remember a Hebrew Israelite on his show, I think, or that was maybe the Montel show. But they had people, giving their understanding of what is and why is the United States and the black man's point of view. And, obviously, there is no big time Mexicans, like I've said. I can't recommend no, look up this guy. He was on the Phil Donahue show. You look up the Chicano movement, look up those documentaries is what I could recommend. Those were put out, those are like maybe from the early 2000s. I think I remember seeing those documentaries when they came out in the early 2000s. So there's three, they're each an hour. There's one segment about Cesar Chavez and the farm. There's one about the LA Kids School Walkout, and there's the one in Texas about that one, man, I can't even forgot his name. Not Corky, but another guy who was the first Mexican mayor, and then he lost it out in Texas. They're the ones who wanted Aslan back and stuff. They claimed back the rights of separation to our land back as being indigenous to this continent. And if you never watched those videos, I don't know why. You should be listening to those documentaries, watching. You should have watched them 50, 100 times, those documentaries. And then, so, those are, like, the only stuff that I can recommend with watching within our culture and community. Like, you could find stuff on the Brown Berets. I've seen, like, interviews of the Brown Berets and stuff. They're out there here and there. You could find channels, but it's like nothing really relevant. You could look up Nawi. His channel, I think he got the channel back up. He's always out there, in rallies and protests. And you could look up Oakland Latinos United. I did an interview with him also. Look up if you haven't looked up in my playlist, look up people that I've interviewed. There's a couple of Chicanos that I interviewed who are, activists and who are out there trying to put in the work and put in the knowledge. So, I mean, so, look up and seek this information. Other than that, I don't know what to say. You can't just ask questions without going and doing your own research. You gotta be hungry for it. You gotta want it. It takes patience to, want to do anything. I learned that doing martial arts. It took a lot of patience in order for me to learn and memorize how to do katas. I had to do so many kicks to be able to learn how to kick. Someone who's 6'5". I hated kicking when I first had to learn it, but it took patience. I had to put in the work and keep doing it and, you know, keep striving. And that's what you got to do. If you want to get an understanding, listen to, debates by uh, James Baldwin, Malcolm X, Martin King. Learn about, you know, Khalid Muhammad, especially. Learn about the Nation of Islam. They got a lot of good speakers like Leo Muhammad as someone who I like to listen to. If you look at Marcus Garvey, the way what he was doing in the early 1900s, he's the one who created the black, white, and red flag that we see a lot of the black community have. He was one of the first guys who, bought his own boat. He was gonna start doing import and exporting back to Africa, and the American system shut his shit down quick, like hell no. So and that's what when you watch the documentaries of the Chicano movement, the young Chicanos who were in college back in those days, they went to Louis Farrakhan and Malcolm King and asked, for some tips. What's an understanding? What are your guys? How'd you guys get your organizations going? And that's why, the Brown Berets were an example off of the Black Panthers. So they went around and, seeked, how do we get this going? Out and creating allies, trying to create friendships. So I mean, other than that, Chicanos, it's up to you to want to have that patience to, dig deep into that. Look up that stuff. It's good. You get an understanding those dialogues and debates from back in the days. It's irrelevant to today. You hear people talking about stuff in the 60s to what's relevant to today, and it answers a lot of stuff. Like, man, you hear stuff that people are talking about to today, and if they would have watched this information, say they showed all these lectures and all debates, Malcolm X and all this stuff in high schools, it would give kids an understanding, of a lot. It opened me up. Like, wow, I'm able to answer stuff by listening to this stuff. I could answer people questions. It gives me, you know, a real big, whoa, it gave me a real big understanding. And if you guys listen to that stuff, then you'll understand, why I believe the way I do now, or talk about the way I talk about stuff. Listen to people who are relevant. Like, I've listened to Brother Polite, Young Pharaoh, people on the Sinetta channel who I've talked about, Booker T. Coleman, Dr. Umar. I listen to those people like Tariq Nasheed, listen to him, Field Advice Show, like the Israelites. I've listened to them, because who do we got relevant? Like I've said, I mean, some people recommend talk about me, and that's cool. Like, to me, I don't see myself as being nobody. And I got like 500 people that are subscribed and like 50 people that watch here and there that like what I'm saying. So, I mean, I don't know. I guess that's cool, but that's what inspired me and made me want to give my point of view and give my thought. Like, there's no Chicanos out there wanting to share a point of view, share a thought, share an idea, trying to reach out. Is anybody else thinking the way I'm thinking? Is even not even thinking the way I'm thinking? Anybody, have any type of creativity in a Chicano mind? Just where we at. That's all. So peace out, Chicanos.